Dead Space is a horror-themed schizophrenia simulator beloved for its terrifying gameplay and plot that earned it many awards, as well as the title as one of the scariest games ever made. So as someone who has never touched a horror game beyond FNAF 3, I figured it was time to see what all the hype's about. And since I've got Game Pass, I figured I might as well get the remake to experience the graphically advanced version, so I can bring you another one of my quality videos and ruin everything about this game. Our story begins with a man named John D. Space, a blue-collar space engineer and crew member aboard a small ship called the Kellion, with 4 other minimum-wage workers as companions. The objective of this group is to find a glorious, mile-long ship called the Fist of Family Values that was last heard from while orbiting what appears to be the gas giant Yavin. Upon dropping out of hyperspace, we find the damaged Fist of Family Values drifting through a debris field with all its lights off, and our pilot makes an approach to get a closer look, only to crash into the ship's hangar. To fix the ship, the group splits up, leaving the co-pilot alone on the Kellion, while we go with everyone else to find help from the workers aboard the Fist of Family Values. Inside the first room, we get scanned by a mini light show that gives us level 0 clearance that we use to restock our Gatorade and access a nearby computer to look at a damage report. Sir, the ship is absolutely f***ed. The engine's broken, there's no navigation, the hostage security's broken, steering ain't down, ooh, but luckily, quarantine's still working. God, who would have known the ship was so damaged? Everyone. Everyone who saw inside the ship. And everyone who didn't see inside the ship. After this realization, an alarm begins to blare and the area locks down into quarantine, while monstrous creatures jump out of the walls to attack from all around. Instantly, one of our armed allies gets skill issued on the other side of the glass, so we make a break for it. Rushing away from them as fast as possible, we manage to escape our allies before reaching an elevator down. Hitting the closed door button like a true antisocial, we prevent anyone from sharing the elevator with us because, so help me God, I am not standing within 10 feet of another person, or anything else for that matter. On the next floor down, we reach a safe room with a workbench in the corner where we find the closest thing to a weapon that we can get, a power tool. After seeing how small an effect guns had on the creatures, we wonder how this power tool will fare any better, but thankfully there's some advice on the wall above the workbench telling us to red rum. With this revolutionary help, we find that on rare occasion where we don't miss every shot in our mag, the power tool is very effective in our battle. Disassembling our enemies like Lego figures, we examine the ripped and tattered remains of the uniforms they're wearing, leading us to the realization that these are in fact the undead employees of the ship. Or maybe they're just normal employees, because when working a normal everyday job, it's pretty easy to become zombie-like. Reaching another safe room, we reunite with our companions over a video call, and learn from the strong female that there's a subway running throughout the entire ship that leads to a safer area we need to get to, but there's unfortunately an obstruction on the tracks we need to get rid of first. Target acquired, now hunting emo teenage. Beginning our journey to the tracks, we find a can of soda that we incorporate into our suit, because just like with the DeLorean in Back to the Future 2, our suit has access to time-bending abilities when fueled by a single can of soda. After finding the obstruction laying on the tracks, we use our new slow-mo powers to forcefully remove him, while dealing with more jump scares than a security guard at a pizzeria. Eventually, we complete the task and run back to the safe room, where we are told to get a data board so the button to start the subway will work. Completing some immersive electrician gameplay that requires we turn off all the lights to progress, we reach the data board successfully and begin our trek back. Returning to the safe room, with all fetch quests complete, we replace the data board and click the button to start the subway, sending the 2 others to safety while we go back to the Kellion so we can tell the remaining crew member everything that's going on. After reaching the horse we rode in on, we have a short talk with the co-pilot before an alert goes off and brings up a video of 2 monsters sexually assaulting a poor defenseless reactor. Man, our reactor looks just like that one. Wait a minute. Having survived the explosion with the trickshot landing of the century, we call an emergency meeting to tell our companions about the Kellion's explosion, but because of our reference to hit video game Among Us, our manager justly tells us to go to hell, so we follow his orders by going to the next worst place, the medical deck. There, we find a plethora of bodies from those who got the doctor to give them a whole band-aid and then refused to pay their $16,000 hospital bill. I can't believe cheapskates like these can even exist. Finding a metal brick that grants us the force, we use it to complete some puzzles and struggle to kill an enemy with it because the controls are as brain dead as the many untreated patients in this area. In the next room, we reach this lady, laying in a pool of her own blood, struggling through every breath, so we assure her that the C-section is going great, before taking her gun and leaving her behind. Then we find a barricaded door forwards with no way around it, and upon spotting it, our objective changes to make bomb and gives us a list of multiple faraway ingredients. That's right, baby, it is fetch quest time. During our search, we find an ally violently banging his head against the wall after forgetting to save his progress. Good thing I don't have that problem. Continuing on our merry way, we reach this room where a very predictable jump scare occurred, and mid-fight I had to deal with, this bullshit. Yeah, unfortunately, this has been happening quite a bit lately, but I don't exactly know why. All I know is that the first time this happened, I was enjoying one of the Vietnam levels in Black Ops, and all of a sudden, my inputs completely disconnected and I died before the game even paused. After reconnecting and dealing with the enemy, we reached some zero-G therapy, but after some thorough exploration, we unfortunately failed to find a professional smile and nodder who will pretend to listen to us for an hour. With no one to talk to about mental trauma, like the time I fell 10 feet headfirst onto a marble floor, we resume our quest and get to the first ingredient on our how to make bomb list. One short trip outside and we reach a room that perfectly embodies the phrase, "It's a trap!" because the moment you walk past a certain point, you get surrounded by 10 enemies that proceed to corner and absolutely gaggle for you. While continuing our exploration past that area, we find a horrific monster, most notable for its ability to end your social life. Babies! Through the power of our stolen gun and an abortion, we defeat this powerful new foe and find the second ingredient we need to make a bomb, the power source of a defibrillator. After grabbing it, we return to the barricade and use the power of professional lockpicking to open it up. In the next room, we find a doctor's office with a completely normal triple bypass in progress and watch one of the doctors commit Canadian healthcare. Upon entering the morgue, we find it oddly devoid of enemies, so we continue to the autopsy room, and after finding the captain, who for whatever reason looks like the senator at the beginning of Jedi Survivor, we begin unscrewing his back brace. Then Dr. Xenomorph comes out of the ceiling and tells us not to do that before giving the captain a little needle to help with the back pain he's about to endure. After dealing with that ordeal, we steal the captain's rig to prevent him from reanimating. If you laughed at that shitty animation joke, I'm sorry, I hope things get better for you. Now having some form of control over the ship's systems, we level up and everything finally starts going our way. That is until gravity enters the chat. With the ship falling down towards the planet, we make our way to engineering, using the outdoor scenic route, and find that everything is broken down there. Being as helpful as he can, our manager gives us some enlightening direction by telling us to fix it. And so, we start with the engines, by beginning the journey to the first refueling station. After fixing the first engine, we take a fun roller coaster ride to the next area, where a group of enemies are waiting. Sniping them from a distance, we're forced to make Sophie's choice with the power, and after turning off life support because I like not being blind, we refuel the second engine. Then we go to a giant fan room, and fly around repairing the blades with slow motion magic, before turning it on so we can get the coin in a washing machine experience. Returning to the comfort of inside, we let out a sigh of relief now that we're safe, and enter the main halls of the ship, only to meet the giant tentacle of Rule 34 in horrifying reality. Dumping a mag into its obvious weak spot, we fail to defeat it, and after reloading our single remaining bullet, we managed to take it down because, sure, why not? After all, the government only needed one bullet for JFK. On the way to our next objective, we find a room where the Flood have obviously been hanging out, and inside we find the average gamer protruding from the wall with an extreme sensitivity to any form of light that makes him recoil in pain when we shine our flashlight on him. After that, we venture to the lower floors and find an enemy that releases spiders upon death that climb onto us in an attack. Dealing with them, we reach the engine room, and after a few minutes, we succeed in powering up the systems and start the engine. With the engines finally fixed, we reactivate them and get the ship back in orbit before our manager tells us to come see him. After meeting up with him, he finishes a live-action game of Among Us and starts talking to us about very important plot things. Now listen up, I've got a fun game for us to play called The Perpetual Ruining of Interactive Cutscenes Kinetically, which has an unreasonable amount of science words in it, and honestly sounds pretty boring until you abbreviate it to PRE. After being a PRE, while our manager talks to us, he punishes us for our actions by sending us to fight a Dark Souls boss upstairs with the most boring intro ever seen. Defeating the enemy allows us to continue forwards, but also grants us an achievement for killing a brute. Hopefully they meant to write the brute, or this isn't gonna be fun. With the enemy no longer in the way, we can reach our very important and situation-changing task of calling an elevator. Going down a couple floors, we clear out the already empty halls and find a completely normal laser light in the break room before going back up to our objective and hitting a bunch of non-functional light switches. After that, we fight another Dark Souls boss using our wealth of ammo, die to one of these noodle mascots, and flick another light switch. Taking another elevator down, we are faced with a sleepwalking homeless man that asks for some spare change before leaving after we start shooting. Going outside to complete our objective with a plank's length of HP, we play Asteroids 3D, the long-anticipated sequel to the hit 80s game Asteroids. In this game, you fly around in space, fighting aliens and blowing up asteroids in the new 3D environment, built with a new graphics engine much more advanced than its predecessor. Dying several times to a kindergarten that wandered away from its class during a field trip, we play some aim labs to automate the asteroid gameplay, and get called back to the captain's nest. Damn, I didn't realize the ship was being flown by a bird. Starting off level 5 with a fun and engaging challenge I like to refer to as a why the f did I save my game moment. We eventually use our saw blade to kill the long-lost head of the Headless Horseman, as well as its 2 lobster companions. Now back in the medical bay for some reason, we find a bunch of convulsing bodies on stretchers that I kept trying to disembowel so they won't get needled into a monster by the doctor. But it turns out you can't hurt living allies. Mutilating bodies, on the other hand. After accidentally stepping into a monstrous recreation of this meme, we take a convenient elevator up to escape the babies, and find a hologram of our girlfriend. Then we try to touch her, but this guy steps in with everybody's second favorite superpower, Time Stop. As he slowly approaches us, we begin being a once again, and after listening to the first half of his several-minute-long speech, we managed to struggle out a question. Like time stop instead of invisibility. You don't like a little resistance? With this question, we managed to enrage the man to the point at which he makes use of his time stop powers, and after withstanding such horrors, we let out a sigh of relief as he leaves and break free from his powers to find a powerful foe behind us. Using our slow-mo powers, we halt the enemy and deconstruct it like any other, only for it to regenerate instantly and force us to sprint away. After escaping the creature, we journey to the doctor's office, and there we find the controls to reboot security, so we can effectively stop the vent-dwelling monsters from chasing us by locking the doors in the hallway. As the system reboots, a dead guy calls us over to his stretcher, not begging for help, but trying to go out nobly. You, come here. Do you have any games on your phone? With the system rebooted, poison gas begins pouring into the halls because that's completely normal when the security system is functioning perfectly. Venting it out, we return to the room of unspeakable horrors, where the regenning monster first appeared, and open one of the now unlocked doors, because that's one of the perks of rebooting the system. There we encountered the Time Stop Man once again, and after being a once more, we are punished by a group of infants being led in an attack against us by the one thing to rule them all. The one thing to find them. The one thing to bring them all in the darkness. Oh hey, we're done. Continuing along the way, we find a TV showing live footage from inside my brain, but ignoring the highly chaotic display, we grab some loot and continue. Then we take the subway to the hangar, and once there, we take a trip down to the greenhouse. There we synthesize an enzyme like a true chemically imbalanced chemist, and the strong female FaceTimes us again, now struggling to hold her camera straight because of the heavy mask she's wearing. Giving us thorough instructions on what to do next, we listen attentively for once, because of the voice-garbling air filter in her gas mask. After she's done, we get a new objective on our lack of a HUD. Inject J.I.Z.Z.L.E.R. During our search, we find 2 smokers. One of the many cool kids that vapes. Somebody who told their doctor it was just a light cold, and 4 people stricken with the deadly disease of 2020 that rendered everyone antisocial gamers. Giving them all just a little pinch here by stabbing a needle into their brain stems, we managed to piss off the local ecosystem more than the 2,500 gigatons of carbon, and after doing so, we're then directed to food storage for our next objective. Taking an elevator down along the way, we're treated to the wonderful muzak of what sounds like a female G-man. And after reaching the next floor down, we continue to our objective. Reaching food storage, we find the mother of all the Leviathan. The Leviathan. The Leviathan. This guy. Unlike one of the brutes, or the one thing to rule them all. This guy is an actual pain in the ass, and killed me several times, mercilessly. He attacks with his tentacles that hone in with aimbot precision, and progression requires their destruction, but all I know is that it took more ammo than I had to destroy one. Not only that, but I went into the fight with health that was a little bit limited, and the tentacles deal damage that is kind of the opposite of that. So all it took was about one hit to kill me, or two on the attempts where I was lucky. After about half an hour of failing, without much of a clue on how exactly the damage worked or where I could attack him, I found myself with a flamethrower and nothing else, which of course ended with me failing again. So for the interest of this video finishing, I've decided that yes, we are game sensing this dog fight. Continuing with our newfound skill and raw game sense, we managed to skillfully dodge the incoming attacks and make it to the second phase of the fight. As we battle the grotesque creature, it becomes obvious that it is the leader of the many enemies throughout the ship, which means that in science talk, this thing would be the alpha, and just like in wolf packs, if we kill the alpha, all of its followers die with it. It's just basic science. I mean, I learned that in grade 7? With our goal of destroying all the enemies finally possible, we gain a new ferocity and some game sense to fight with. Continuing our battle against the giant amalgamation of flesh and more flesh, we managed to defeat its multiple hentai tentacles before they can do anything not safe for work and blast the potentially living meatball into space. Now that the Fist of Family Values no longer has the alpha, all of the enemies should be dead. They're not dead! They are not! Obviously, this process is like anything else that's natural and takes a bit of time, but considering the fact that we're a normal human being, we don't really like things that are natural. So rather than let the effects of the alpha's death slowly make its way through the ecosystem, killing all the way, we help out by giving nature a little push. Now forced to do it entirely ourselves, we take this ecosystem that's warped its way throughout the ship and begin transferring it and all its debatably living components back to their natural habitat, 6 feet beneath the ground. Now that destroying old monsters has technically been automated, we begin our journey to the mining deck so we can call for help and escape the Fist of Family Values. On the way, we have to take a large cargo lift down because this is the 13th floor and there aren't any normal elevators. Slowly descending to the next floor, the power shuts off and the lift grinds to a halt while monsters dive in from all around to ambush us. After dealing with them, we use the power of manipulation and ingenious strategy to lure one of the enemies into a laser. Continuing our journey up to a normal elevator, we reach a computer that we are too low level to use, and so we begin the journey to level up. After flying around a room, relocating asteroids to the center of a 4,000 degree laser beam, we reactivate the gravity and find an admin killed by some hackers, so we take his rig to abuse the commands he has access to. Using our new privileges that we're not supposed to have, we begin our search for the SOS beacon and return to the large cargo lift. Once there, we get a call from our boss, who's been distracted by a very interesting fan that he shows us, but as he turns his phone around to show us, he brings it in too close and accidentally hits the fan blades and destroys his only form of communication with us. As the call abruptly cuts off, the funny-tasting brownies we ate earlier start taking effect, while the strong female calls us to see how we're doing. Drastically lowering her respect for us by sporadically autisming and watching the walls move, we continue towards our next objective. After finding the SOS beacon and attempting to launch it, everything breaks both on the ship and in my Xbox because the footage pieced the f*** out. Now trying to launch the SOS beacon the long way, we make our way to the big rock without any misspelling and journey outside with absolutely no difficulties. There we place the beacon on the asteroid and break some important safety harnesses before returning to the room from earlier so we can launch the asteroid. Then we return to the subway so we can go back to the bridge. Once there, we take an elevator down and have a calm stroll through this area while the grave mine talks to us. Then we enter a wide open room with a giant stripper pole in the center and an instruction manual on the wall telling us to connect some power nodes without any further details, which left me and my ape brain sitting around for 10 minutes trying to figure it out. Finally connecting the power and getting to the control board, we activate the comms array and immediately get a call from the captain of a nearby ship wearing the coolest helmet J.I.Z.Z.L.E.R has ever seen. Talking to the captain for half an hour, our call gets cut off by the strong female because it turns out our mic was muted the whole time because the antenna hasn't been deployed yet, and after dealing with this realization, we go to deploy it. Rushing through the ship, we encounter a monster with the longest arms ever and the ability to explode its head off faster than JFK. Moving past that encounter, we reach a computer that deploys the antenna and find that the blast doors are now obstructed. Oh, that's odd. I wonder what could— oh my god! Taking our way to the airlock so we can go outside and fight the creature, we run into an issue. Hold on, guys, I'm having a bit of a problem. Let me just tweak my settings real quick. It's just, my brightness is bothering me a little bit. Jumping out of the airlock with the power of game sense now on our side, we begin the battle with the monster, activating control panels to defeat them as if we're fighting Catan from Quake. After using some cannons to beam the monster's obvious weak points, we defeat them and let them drift away through space. With the enemy now dead, we return inside and deploy the antenna to communicate with the captain again, but after calling him, we are greeted by the horrific sight of the monsters now aboard their ship too, and a gamer that hasn't yet learned how to parry. With their crew suffering major casualties at the hands of the monsters, they lose their ability to drive and crash into the Fist of Family Values. Surviving the explosion, we climb to our feet and get a call from our manager, while spamming the open door button faster than an auto-clicker. Finally getting back out into the hallway, we are told to get inside the other ship, which we do by diving back out into space and flying to their airlock. After entering the other ship, where the monsters have spent far less time, you'd expect it to get easier, but instead we encounter a new foe that I've affectionately named Hat because of its very balanced movement mechanics. Thankfully, they have a weakness where shooting the arc reactor-looking core in their chest will release an explosion with the same slow-mo power we have and slow them down long enough for us to mag dump them for 5 straight seconds. Dealing with the hats, we make our way through the ship for a solid 4 minutes before we're given a new objective: dispose of the warhead. Going to the warhead room, we shoot some wires to release the sour candy, when suddenly an enemy bomber jumps out of the vents and... Yeah. On the next attempt, we dismember the enemy's arm to prevent it from exploding and setting off the nuke, and successfully launch the missile into space to keep everyone safe, except the aliens doing a flyby. On the way to our next objective, we enter a room primed for ambush and fight off a brute with ease due to what I think was a glitch of some kind. Then we reach a wonderful place that perfectly recreates the cozy, warm feeling you get inside a toaster, and somehow glitch past half the blowtorches. After that, we meet up with our manager so we can help him steal this ship's flux capacitor, but as we reach him, a door locks between us and a monster attempts to perform open heart surgery on him. Then they spill raspberry jam everywhere, and the door unlocks so we can take the piece of machinery that appears to be very important based on how the ship acts without it. Running past explosions and through walls of fire, we make our way back to the airlock and dive out into space so we can return to the safety of the Fist of Family Values. Climbing into the airlock, we're told to reach the executive shuttle so we can finally escape this nightmare. Running through the Fist of Family Values, we upgrade our suit before reaching a room full of bodies, sacrificed in some kind of ritual that took place during the 5 minutes we weren't home. After the encounter, we reach the Time Stop Man, who absolutely smokes this guy in a scene that should earn the Demonetization of the Year award. And after watching this slow-motion kill, thinking about how much censoring awaits me while editing this post, another one of the regenerating enemies dives through this window and forces us to walk a whole room over to escape. Then we're sent to destroy a series of tentacles and journey to the first one, only to find a hallway full of gas leading to the objective, and 2 enemies defending it. After throwing an explosive barrel at the first wall Sarlacc and mag dumping the other, we destroy the tentacle and are rewarded with another unkillable enemy. Immobilizing it, we fight off a small horde of basic enemies and spend half an hour searching for the power cube to progress to the next area, and unfortunately, we're forced to consult the wisdom of the ancients who came before us in the form of a tutorial. Returning to an area we already checked 3 times, we grab the battery and open the door forwards to the next tentacle. Traveling to quarters, Deluxe Edition, we destroy another tentacle and are immediately ambushed by another immortal enemy, 2 hats, and an infant as another reward that killed me in a solid 2 seconds. After defeating the enemies, we're told to go to Quarters Executive Edition, and there we find another pack of enemies, as well as a helpful cornucopia of loot without any bullshit. We also find a romantic setup of candles left over from... Destroying the tentacle of that area, we return to the previous room to find a mysterious object that henceforth shall be referred to as the Thingy. Because no, that is not a marker. I know what a marker is. I've drawn with them before. Using a ramp, we take the Thingy to a shuttle and go inside to commandeer it. Plugging in the flux capacitor, we go to test fire the engines and get another reward in the form of Mr. Unkillable, his wife, and the 24 children that need to be dealt with while we kill the Immortal One. Yeah, this is not going to go well. After throwing ourselves at this fight for an hour, dying a dozen times before realizing how to kill the immortal enemy, we get closer to our objective every attempt until on one fateful try, we get killed before escaping the engine testing room. We're game sensing. Call me a pussy all you want. I spent over an hour going through that level, and in that time, my ass has changed shape thanks to my rock-hard chair. Murdering the final enemy, we walk towards the shuttle only for another massive tentacle to grab and drag us away. Crashing through the vents, we get a concussion and break half the bones in our body before beaming the enemy's weak spot until it explodes and successfully lets go of us. Climbing back to our feet, we make our way through the halls to a large open room with the thingy inside, and after looking at it for a few moments, we're allowed to upgrade our mental illness skill tree. After that, we introduce some monsters to the concept of a pipe bomb, which angers some gargantuan tentacles nearby who rise from the dark abyss of Rule 34 to attack us from either side while we try to solve what I pray was a puzzle sequence, because I'm stupid enough that, for all I know, that could have been a sequence where you click 3 buttons and leave. With our objective completed and the enemies dead, we run back to safety before any stragglers one-shot us, and return to the hangar bay where a shuttle's docking. Upon landing, the door opens and this guy walks out to greet us, only to get backshot because he also doesn't know how to parry. Watching him fall to the ground, we contemplate why we even try at this point, and as the ship flies away, we get a call from the strong female. Oh hey, how are you?
It had to be done, John.
What had to be done?
I didn't want to... Wait, what?
What had to be done?
Killing Dr. Lesbian Haircut and stealing the shuttle? Listen, I had to keep the marker out of your hands.
What? Why? I'm sure you had a logical explanation for it, right?
You are mentally ill. There's your logical reason.
That's no reason to leave me stranded on a ship full of monsters.
That's not the reason, that's the upside. I need to get the marker back to Earth, and taking you with me opens up the chance that we don't deliver it. You've had a complete mental breakdown. For all I know, you could destroy it.
What did you say about upside? What, do you hate me?
Yes! You want me to say it, then yes! You've got no common sense, and you've selfishly obsessed over your girlfriend the whole time, going so far as to search for her, rather than help us leave this place. Not to mention the fact that you've blasted enough ketamine and morphine from medkits to kill an elephant, just so you could heal a couple scratches. And look at you! You're delusional! You're a mess!
And because of that, you're abandoning me?
Yes!
God, can you be any more shallow?
What do you mean? Your actions put us over time and time again!
You know what? I'm gonna get you back. I don't know how, but I'm gonna get you back.
What are you gonna do? The only way to catch me is using the tractor beam, cannons, or remote shuttle recall. I'm basically unstoppable.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You are unstoppable at this point. As the call with the strong female ends, another girl immediately calls us because, as usual, the ladies just can't get enough of us. With our girlfriend on the line, she tells us that there's a way to catch the strong female using the remote shuttle recall from the flight control center, so we immediately run up to it, and once there, we find Nicole acting very human. Approaching her, she does that, and starts talking to us while we do what we do best. Being a prick through the power of a flamethrower, we recreate the "this is fine" meme in perfect detail and click a button to recall the shuttle. Getting a call from the strong female, we ignore it because she non-stop ordered us to do stuff and abandoned us on the fist of family values. Fighting through a few more monsters, we reach the shuttle and blast the flamethrower as we walk inside, hoping to burn the former ally, but she is nowhere to be found. Yo, Nicole, weren't you in flight control? How'd you get here so fast? It's fine. Okay, good. Oh, by the way, I couldn't find the strong female. Could you check if any of the escape pods got On the planet that the Fist of Family Values was orbiting, we need to put the marker back for currently unclear reasons, but we probably should because the voices told us to during our very chemically balanced nap, and they never lie. Putting the thingy on a conveyor belt, we move it around and some shiny beams of light shoot up into the sky, distracting our companion with their wonder. Honestly, if I saw that many beacons on the server, I would also have strong feelings of wonder, mainly about who the hell is willing to collect 300 stacks of iron ingots to make that many. Walking into the building, we find a bunch of plasma ammo, because God knows we'll need it, and begin making our way through the place, opening doors for the thingy as we go along. And after a few minutes, we reach a horrible place called Outside that I thankfully never go in real life, because touching grass is not only scary, but also puts a poison effect on myself, because I am unfortunately a member of the disgusting race known as allergy people. Moving the thingy onto a pedestal, it shoots a laser up into the sky that pulls an asteroid out of God's ass and drags it down towards the planet. Going to click a button to try and protect the thingy, we get ambushed by the strong female, who unfortunately hid inside the shuttle we took to get here. Holding our girlfriend at gunpoint while she talks to us, we fail to listen to her, not because we're being a p*** this time, but rather because there's an inch-thick pane of glass stopping her voice from getting through. After failing to explain that we cannot hear her, we decide to spend this time entertaining ourselves by watching another relaxing video of our girlfriend calling us to say goodbye, despite the call just starting and holy shit, is she gonna commit suicide? No, Nicole, don't commit suicide, that shit kills you, dude. I tried that, I almost fucking died. After watching our girlfriend kill herself to death, we get a moment of lucidity and watch our very real girlfriend that we've been hanging out with for the past 6 hours fade away, because all this time she was just a hallucination. Then the strong female moves the thingy out of place and releases a giant tentacle creature reminiscent of what you find while cleaning the toilet. Racing back to the ship to escape this dumpster fire of a planet, we watch the giant creature attack our former ally. Holy shit, are you alright? Come here, you're gonna be fine. It's okay. You'll be good. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. There's a parry button for a reason. What else would it be for? Beginning our fight against the tentacle, we adjust our settings to really make sure everything feels in tune. Like, I don't want any of the volume or brightness settings being a little bit, out of place or screwed up. Listen, I don't want to hear any in the comments. I am finishing this video on time. Fighting the monster made from a collection of hentai tentacles and sharpened bony spines, we shoot its obvious weak spots, taking a stupid amount of hits along the way. As we fight, the enemy vomits all over the battleground in some kind of attack mechanism that forces us to wade waist deep in slimy green puke while getting burped on by the enemy. All of which we have to smell because the oxygen tanks are for emergency use only for some reason. Shooting the enemy in the throat, we take out all of its weak spots and get picked up in a sequence where we hit a great many of our shots. Finally defeating the enemy, we survive the fall to the ground using our plot armor and rush inside to the ship. Activating the thrusters, we get up to fly away as the asteroid hits the planet. As we escape the conflict, we remove our helmet and delete our girlfriend's suicide video before looking to our right and seeing a horror beyond our very comprehension, and to be honest, I don't get it.